This is Bumper to Bumper, the car show. Drive in anxious and cruise out confident. With the best automotive information for your vehicle. And now your hosts, Matt Allen and Dave Riccio.
Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to Bumper Radio. I am Dave Riccio with Matt Allen, and we are your KTAR car guys, heard every Saturday from 11 to noon. At Bumper Radio, we're helping you, the motoring public, have a better overall car repair experience. So if you got car questions, we've got car answers, and we encourage you to give us a call at 602-277-5827. 602-277-KTAR.
Hey, Dave, you ever, this mic's a little hot here, you ever hear the term fall asleep at the switch?
Yeah.
I think we fell asleep at the mic there for a second. It's
talking away, telling stories about auto repair, of all things.
Chewing the fat, telling lies, having cocktails. No cocktails, not yet.
That's right. So today on the Bumper to Bumper Roadmap, we're going to be talking about some of the emails we've been getting, of course, open phones and texts, and if you got car questions, give us a call if you're facing a repair that you're not sure about. We're here to help. And then, Matt, incomplete repairs. We see incomplete repairs in our business. And this comes from an email that we got from bumpertobumperradio.com where someone was getting a strut warranted at, I think it was like 60,000 miles on the vehicle.
55,000 miles. It had some kind of delivery vehicle or something. And apparently the strut was under warranty. There was, a strut, everybody knows, I think. Struts are like shocks. They're in the front and back of the car. They're what helps hold the car up and dampen the ride. But, yeah, one strut was bad, and that was under warranty. And they were going to replace the one strut. So the question was, should I replace one strut at a time, or does it make sense to do both struts? They will only replace one because only one is bad. So right. I'm assuming maybe it was blown out, like leaking or something like that.
Yeah, so that's, and to your point, Matt, your answer was, well, would you just go buy one shoe? If you were a dog and you wore shoes, you could maybe buy two shoes at a time, but you wouldn't necessarily, side to side, I like to see stuff replaced in pairs.
Sure.
And so if you have one brand new shoe and you got one shoe that's totally worn out or most of the way worn out, you're going to feel weird walking. It's just going to feel weird, and you're probably going to get a sore knee. That's the way.
Well, and not only that, but you think about this 55,000 miles. Well, 55,000 miles is a little premature for a strut, so I could see the consumer going, "Oh God, do I?" Kind of laboring over it because it is a little bit early. So let's say you don't do the one strut. Mm-hmm. Well, now this other strut that has 55,000, well, in 25,000 miles, that'll have 80,000 on it. And I guarantee you, on this particular vehicle, that strut is shot. Yeah. So now what? You go replace one strut again, and then you're just in this evil, odd cycle. And we're not just talking about the replacement, but then you go back to the handling, the performance, the drivability of the vehicle.
I don't know. If I get in a panic stop, I don't want one new strut next to one strut that's, got 60,000 miles on it.
Yeah.
This is a stability issue to me. That's just my, the other place this comes up is in the body shop. Your car's in a collision on the right front. The right front strut gets damaged. Do we just replace the right front strut? In the car, in this case, it could have 80,000 miles on it. It could have 100,000 miles on it. And I'll tell you what, insurance companies never spend any more money than they have to fix your car. And so they're going to do just that one strut.
Well, and I've talked to Kevin at I-17 Collision about this, one of our bumper-to-bumper body shops. And I said, Kevin, why don't people do this? And I think for him in the body shop part of it, it's a little bit of a psychological thing. Because the consumer oftentimes either they screwed up and they caused the accident, and they definitely don't want to spend any more money, or they're pissed because somebody else ran into them, and everything is paid for. And sometimes that clouds their ability to kind of step back and make a judgment call and go, hey, that makes sense. Yeah. Let's do two struts, or let's do, whatever, pick your poison, whatever it is. Let's make this a thorough repair. And this is, when we talk about this because we see We see cars come in that had been repaired at another shop maybe, and they're coming back. Or we see competitive bids, and it's like really low, or we're thinking, why the heck they did all this work, and if they would have just replaced this
it would be a good
little
job.
widget, it wouldn't be here today.
If I can do it wrong for $900 and do it right for $1,100, I'd rather do it for $1,100. And I think, because you got to understand as consumers, we all want to call people and give them, what they want to hear. But everyone's like, I just want to keep it as cheap as possible. And they people at my counter, that's what they say. Oh yeah, we don't want to spend any more money than we have to. And we understand that. That makes sense. I wouldn't either. But when you come in from that frame of mind, it affects the service writer. So he's like, well, I got to keep it profitable for the company because we got to, and I've got to have integrity in my pricing and all that. But at the same time, the consumer, so he's trying to make a decision and maybe we're going to do something less, when the job's not complete that you don't really know about as a consumer, but, that's the price I think I want it,
Right, yeah, so they're unintentionally affecting the quality of the repair, or they're jading the advisor, so to speak.
And
He's nervous.
I literally had this situation in my shop this week. We did a computer on a guy's Jeep. His transmission wasn't working, so we did a computer for him. And he's driving down the road. He left, and we took it on 3 road tests, and everything was good. And he calls me up, and he says, Dave, the temperature gauge is running a little bit warm. He described it to me, and I said, okay, well, let's just keep an eye on it, and let me know if anything changes. And then about 10 minutes later, he calls me back. He says, okay, the check engine light's on. I said, let's bring that thing back.
Time for a return.
It gets back to my shop, and we replaced the computer because of a transmission issue, and the water pump let loose when he left my shop. And so now his first repair was expensive, and I'm like, I got to talk to him about another repair. I already don't like to have to do this. And I say, it needs a water pump, and we should do the hoses, but the vehicle's 10 years old. The radiator's right there. We should probably do the radiator too. And he thought about it. He chewed on it for a little bit, and he said, yeah, let's do the radiator too. Because whether it's, I don't want to do this water pump and these hoses, and 6 months later his radiator goes bad because it's right there where it's going to happen.
Yeah, I know. I mean, we have you take a Toyota Tacoma pickup or a 4Runner. For us, doing the timing belt on that job, especially like the second time around, we take the radiator out, not because it has to come out. It just gives you more room to work. And so, yeah, in a case like that, this is why we want the customer to ask questions. And at the shop, too, we're also going to offer these things. Hey, we've got to take this out. Now we're talking about a $300 part. I can put in your old radiator, or we can put a new radiator in. But if I'm laying money out for a bet, I'd go 50-50 that this thing's going to go bad in the next 2 years. Yep. So if economically you're able to do it, and you're not on this tight budget, and you're going to keep the car, we need to think about doing these, making the repair that much better.
Well, the other place that this comes up too is that at auto shops we know everyone's price conscious. They don't want to spend any more than they have to, and it makes sense. But there's people that call around from shop to shop. Well, we want a radiator. How much is this? Or we want this. A timing belt's one of those examples I think of all the time. And I wonder if there's any consumers that have ever been baited into a shop to find out what they offered them on the phone wasn't what they ended up getting. So, an incomplete repair. And where I see this come up is on the timing belt. People call up, how much for your timing belt? Well, my timing belt's $350. And they call my shop and they say, how much for your timing belt? Well, it's $1,200.
Oh my God!
Why is yours $1,200? Somebody just told me $300.
Yeah. Rip off report.
And so, you've got I'll use a Honda Odyssey. You got a Honda Odyssey with 110,000 miles on it. You should be replacing the water pump. You should be doing, the tensioner for the timing belt, and there's a couple idlers and some other pieces in there. And if you do the job right, it may be, $900 to $1,100 job. If you do just the water pump a la carte, the time belt a la carte, yeah, you can get it done for $300. But here's what they do. They say $300, you take your car over maybe across town because the deal's so good.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm saving $900.
I'm saving $900
for ripping me off.
Yeah. And you get over there, and they call you up. Now that they got the timing cover off your car and things are apart, and they say, we're looking at the water pump, and we see a little bit of coolant crust around it. We think you should do the water pump, too. And now it's $1,100.
Right back to where you should have been in the first place.
Exactly. So sometimes as consumers, you guys can be your own worst enemy, and I don't want that to happen, because our point here on the show is to relieve stress and anxiety. And if you go into a situation where you think it's going to be one thing, to find out there's all these surprises and hidden costs and stuff like that, that creates stress, and maybe you can afford it, maybe you can't, because if you can't afford it, it's super stressful. So you really want to have, and I think that's why people are calling around for prices in the first place, is that
that's all they know.
It's
a good barometer, I guess, to find out what field they're playing on.
But what they do is, I think inevitably you can come up with the wrong answers and end up in the wrong situation because, quite frankly, it's really hard to get prices over the phone, and hardly ever is the information right. Somebody calls, oh, I need this, that, and the other. They come down, it's almost never this, that, and the other. They needed this, and this.
Right, so you're shopping around for the lowest price you can get
on something you don't need.
On something you think it might be, but you're not sure, but you want to get a price anyway, and you're going to use that to make a decision on where you take your car for what you think it might need, but it really doesn't.
So I think as a consumer, what you should be looking for, is in a shop, you want to look for stability. Have they been around a while? You want to look for things like, reputation. I mean, there's reviews and stuff out there. I mean, that's not always, it's a piece of information, but it's not always the whole story. Maybe the Better Business Bureau, you can look there to see if there's, a whole bunch of complaints or anything like that. And that kind of thing, but not necessarily as how much is your water pump versus how much is this shop's water pump when maybe you need something like a freeze plug that's next to the water pump.
I would, now that you brought up the reviews, I'm curious if there's any listeners out there. What weight do you put in reviews? Do people really sort out when you see this one? You go to my website, my Google page, there's somebody just ripping me a new one about this or that or the other, and we screwed up their AC. And
when Matt ticks me off, I intentionally write bad reviews.
These guys are horrible. There's bad ones. So I wouldn't really pick a shop that had all perfect reviews. Something's wrong there. You know what I mean? Chances are. But do you really give these reviews a lot of weight where it's a 1-star and they're just ripping a new one to the shop?
It's a piece of information.
Yeah.
And so I do write reviews, I do just because, but I've learned if I got nothing nice to say, don't say anything at all, right?
Right.
So anyhow, when we come back, we're taking your phone calls at 602-277-5827. We can help you with your car, whether you got a noise or a vibration or a whatchamacallit, 602-277-5827. You listen to Matt and Dave on your Bumper to Bumper Car Guys.
KTAR News and Budweiser are proud supporters of Folds of Honor. This 4th of July, let's celebrate all current and former members of our United States military. Budweiser, proud to serve those who serve, because freedom isn't free.
Matt and I share car repair tips weekly to help you keep your car safely on the road, and a few of them are easy to do.
Yep, you're right, Dave. And one of the easiest is to have a dependable battery that you can trust to get you started no matter what the conditions.
Interstate batteries are what we trust at Bumper to Bumper Radio. In fact, they're what we use at our own shops for our customers.
If you're like most people, your car is one of your most valuable investments. Make sure you take care of that investment with the power necessary to get you where you need to be. Interstate batteries are America's #1 replacement brand with the factory fresh guarantee, and they're easy to find at good shops everywhere.
Cars or trucks, Interstate has you covered with long life and performance in our harsh desert climates with products like Megatron Plus. It carries a 30-month free replacement and a 6-year performance guarantee.
Interstate Batteries. No battery lasts longer. Check them out at interstatebatteries.com.
Hi, I'm Kurt Morgan, owner of Shadow Mountain Auto Service in Phoenix. I'm also a college automotive instructor, and I've been a technician for over 30 years. In that time, I've seen all kinds of games and gimmicks in the auto repair business, the worst of which seems to be associated with transmissions. I think it's because, to most, including technicians, the inside of a transmission is a mystery. So when one of our valued customers has a transmission problem, we send them straight to Tri-City Transmission. No games, no gimmicks. That's Tri-City Transmission.
There's nothing more important than family. Hi, Kurt Rock for Kurt's Auto Repair. Family owned and operated and Bumper to Bumper Radio preferred. We've been taking care of Valley families and their auto care needs with a perfect Better Business record for over 27 years. Come experience the difference our ASE Master Techs can make for you and your family at Kurt's Auto Repair. Just east of I-17 at 22nd Avenue and Bell Road, or online at mycarhurts.com. Gas or diesel, foreign or domestic. If your car hurts, take it to Kurt's.
Who can you trust here in the Valley to repair your ride? This is Bumper to Bumper Radio. KTAR News on 92.3 FM.
Well, welcome back to Bumper Radio. I am Dave Riccio here along with Matt Allen, and we are your KTAR car guys, helping you with your car. If you got car questions or car concerns and maybe you're just lost with the situation, you just don't even know what the heck to do or where to start, give us a call, 602-277-5827, 602-277-KTAR. You can also text us at 411-923, and it looks like we got Randy, we got Bill, we got Dave, and we've got Mark. And Mark has a 2000 Camry 4-cylinder. How can we help you, Mark? You're on Bumper to Bumper Radio.
Yeah, every once in a while, when I turn the key on, I get nothing. No clicks, no sound, no nothing. And when
do the gauges work?
Yeah, everything works. But what I've started doing is I would take it and put it in drive and then put it back in the park, and then it would start. So I'm thinking it was a neutral safety switch, and somebody told me they're adjustable on there. But now, if I just hold the key on for like a second or two, sometimes it'll automatically start. So I don't know if it's a neutral safety switch or a starter.
Well, I'm a little confused, though, when you say you get nothing but everything works. So is the problem that the car doesn't turn over, it doesn't crank?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. No clicking or nothing.
You know, I'm thinking is if you just put it in neutral, will it start right up instead of going neutral back to park? Just move it to neutral.
No.
Okay. I'm shying away from the neutral safety switch. That's me. I'm thinking of a starter that may be hanging up and or a starter relay. Is there a relay on that, Matt?
Yeah, I think so. There's got to be something. Yeah. The simple test for that. If you can't get it to act up, or it's hard to test that by yourself. You got to have somebody under the hood with you. We're just going to put a test light. I mean, when you turn the key, you're taking battery from the ignition, you're lighting up all the other fuel injectors and computers and stuff like that. But then you've got to send a signal to the starter. The starter needs to know, hey, it's time to go. And so there's a 12-volt signal that goes out to the solenoid from the ignition switch. Maybe it does, or maybe it does not go through a relay. But ultimately, there's going to be one small wire on that starter. And on the 4-cylinder Camry, it's really easy to get to if you're of mechanical ability and you have a good test light. We're going to test for voltage at that starter. So as soon as you turn the key, you should have a light down there at the starter, and that should be engaging the starter. If you've got a light and you've got no start, you've got a problem with the starter. If you've got no light, there's no power getting down to the starter. It's not being told what to do.
Give it the old Fonzarelli, too.
You can do that. That's you just give it a whack with the hammer or the blunt end of a screwdriver or whatever. If you've got power, if you've got two people and you're standing there and that light is powered up and it's plugged in and there's 12 volts going to the starter, and you just give it a quick rap with something and it starts up, you've got a bad starter.
Yeah. I'm leaning that way most commonly.
Yeah.
That's just me. So thanks for the call, Mark. 602-277-5827. We're going to go with Dave, and he's got a 2010 Mazda 3. How can we help you, Dave? You're on Bumper to Bumper Radio.
Yeah, hey, I'm for my son. He has a 2000 Mazda 3, and when he drives, it's vibrating and shaking like a CV axle or motor mount.
Is it?
Go
ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. You go ahead.
Does it vibrate on acceleration, and at what speeds?
Yes, it does. Acceleration. When you get up to a higher speed, it kind of quiets down, but when you accelerate, really, really bad vibrating.
I'm leaning for the axles. That's not uncommon for that. The motor mounts are going to show up. If I were testing the motor mounts and wanted to see what they were like, I would have the hood open. I would have my friend who trusts me with my foot on the brake.
You don't have very many of those, do you?
Yeah, right. And I would pull that thing into gear with my foot on the brake, and I would power brake it a little bit, see how much that motor moves. And then I put it in drive, and then I put it in reverse, and I power brake it the other way and see how much it moves. And if it jumps way up, hey, we may have a problem. And in the old days, we had some motor mounts that really moved.
Oh, God.
when it was normal.
See these mysterious dents sticking out of the hood or something with the engine jumping up. I mean, that's a lot of torque, and it's got to go somewhere. If it's not going to turn the wheels, it's going to lift the engine from its own power.
So yeah, I'm leaning toward axles. So thanks for the call, Dave. 602-277-5827. We're going to go with Bill with a 2009 Toyota Tacoma. How can we help you, Bill? You're on Bumper to Bumper Radio.
Hey, Dave and Matt. Thanks for taking my call.
You bet.
What I've got here, I'm just turned 120,000 miles. I've maintained my car pretty well, but just by going into the dealer and having them do whatever. So I think I'm due for something probably pretty major. I think if we did transmission fluid and stuff back at 80. But what kind of things should I be looking at to do here? What I want is really kind of to go into a trusted dealer and kind of say, hey, give it what it needs, sort of what you guys were talking about earlier, where the customer doesn't really know you should be replacing both struts. So I don't want to go in and give somebody a blank check, but, what sort of things should I need?
Well, I mean, you took care of that up to, you said 100. You've been taking care of it. It's got 120,000 miles on that model year. I think the 105,000 mile service was the bigger one there. So depending on whether or not you've had that done will make a difference. But we talk about it a lot. Is getting. Oops, I accidentally dropped him. I didn't mean to do that. Sorry about that. I hit the wrong button. But what we don't even start with me, Dave. It's got nothing to do with the phone or the computer and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, no. But we can trade seats anytime you want.
No problem.
Anyway, we talk about getting the vehicle inspected, get a comprehensive vehicle inspection. And we're not talking about the courtesy inspection that you get with the oil change so they can kind of see if there's anything that you might need that's really easy to do. I'm talking about bringing the car in almost like a pre-purchased or used car inspection. Gather up all your records. Have all your invoices, all the history in the car, put it in some kind of chronological order. It doesn't have to be exact. Maybe highlight some of the bigger ones. And then you want the shop to pull the wheels, not look through the wheels and see if the brakes are good. Remove all four wheels. Remove the brake drums to inspect the drum brakes if it has them. We want to test the battery, the charging system, take a look at the belts, check all the fluids, the differential fluid, and then tell you everything. Tell them, I want to know everything that's wrong with my car, down to the license plate bulb not working or the crack in the fog light. Tell me everything. And then once you're armed with all that information, then ask them to prioritize it for you and then start asking questions. Why do I want to do this? When do I need to do this next? Or I did this last time. How do we make that better? What would you do?
So anyhow, when we come back, that's a great question. We're taking more phone calls at 602-277-5827. You'll listen to Matt and Dave, your KTAR car guys, on Bumper to Bumper Radio.
The best summer golf pass in the Valley is on sale. Get 6 rounds of golf at either the Arizona Biltmore Golf Club or the Wigwam for just $144. 5 courses, 6 rounds, and 1 low price. Plus, the summer pass is loaded with cool perks, like discounts on room nights and spa experiences at the Wigwam Resort, 2-for-1 drink coupons, greens fees discounts for friends, even golf discounts this fall. The pass is good May 15th through September 15th, so don't delay. Get your 2017 summer pass at Arizona Biltmore or Wigwam Golf Shops today.
It sounds like they've just had the accurate automotive experience. We're family-owned and operated and have served the Mesa, Tempe, Gilbert communities for over 22 years. We focus on building long-lasting relationships and, listening to you so that we can understand, meet, and exceed your expectations. 1 location, 14 bays, 88 years of automotive expertise, and a passionate commitment to customer service and excellence. My name is Lee Weatherby, and I approve this message because it's true. We love what we do, and we want to do it for you. Accurate Automotive, the home of friends serving friends.
Bunker to Bunker, the golf show's famous two-person scramble, is heading to the spectacular Ambiente course at Camelback Golf Club on Saturday, July 22nd, with proceeds benefiting the Boys and Girls Clubs of Metro Phoenix. Play for the day or make it a staycation with our special JW Marriott Summer Swing Stay and Play rates. Tourney includes golf, lunch, awards, raffle, and a bounce-back golf coupon, all for just $98. And room nights at JW Marriott Camelback Inn Resort and Spa, starting at just $99. Sign up today at bunkergolf.com.
Trust. It's hard to earn and sometimes even harder to find. If you live or work in downtown Phoenix, Matt Allen's Virginia Auto Service is celebrating over 20 years of award-winning service at the corner of 7th Street and Virginia. Recognized as one of the best service shops in the country, their customers have come to trust Virginia Auto Service for its A+ rating by the BBB, 2-year 24,000-mile warranties, and free transportation to and from your home or office. 20+ years of earning your trust. Virginia Auto Service. They're serious about service.
Arizona's news station. KTAR. On air, 92.3 FM. Online at KTAR.com. And streaming live on the KTAR News app. Your breaking news and traffic now.
It's 11:30. I'm Tom Perumian. Here's our top story. Hospital officials giving an update on the victims of Friday's shooting rampage at Bronx Lebanon Hospital. One doctor was killed in the rampage. The suspect is a doctor who resigned from the hospital in 2015 when he was told he'd be fired over sexual harassment complaints. Errol Schneer, spokesman for Bronx Lebanon Hospital, says 3 critical patients are now stable.
We still have 1 remaining physician in critical condition, which we're still actively involved in trying to downgrade to stable, and we have 1 patient that remains in stable condition.
6 people were wounded in the gunfire. The suspect set himself on fire and then shot himself in the head. President Donald Trump has a suggestion for Republican senators working on health care legislation. Here it is. If you can't cut a deal on repealing the Obama-era law, then repeal it right away and replace it later. That's likely to further complicate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell's task as he struggles to bridge the divide between moderates and conservatives. Now for a check on traffic, here's Mike Daniels in the KTAR Traffic Center.
Well, thanks, Tom. Got a crash on the off-ramp 10 westbound at University Drive and a couple of vehicle fires, one on Loop 101 northbound just south of Thomas Road, the other at 16th Street and McDowell. This report brought to you by Trajan Wealth. Call today to find out about guaranteed 10% growth on your retirement with a 10% upfront bonus. Call 480-990-3300 for more information. I'm Mike Daniels, KTAR News.
Chance of a monsoon storm next weekend. As for this weekend, 111 today, the high, clear skies, warm, 109 on Sunday. We'll see overnight lows in the mid-80s. Right now, 102 degrees in Glendale. Weather brought to you by Howard Air. I'm Tom Perumian on Arizona's news station, KTAR News.
Whether you're a lifelong dirt road driving, tackle box toting weekend warrior or an outdoor lifestyle rookie, from the desert to the mountains of our great state, Mike Russell has the outdoors in Arizona covered. This afternoon at 1 with Get Outdoors. Only on KTAR News 92.3 FM and streaming live on the KTAR News app.
Hi, I'm Dave Riccio, owner of Tri-City Transmission. Well, you may have come to know us for being a transmission expert. What you may not know is that our customers regularly ask us why we don't perform repairs to the rest of the vehicle. You guys are so great. Why work on just the transmission? Well, the request became hard to ignore, and 3 years ago, we began to build an infrastructure to perform general automotive repair. We weren't going to do general repair if we couldn't be great at it. So in 2013, we began the soft opening of Tri-City Auto Repair on Smith Road. We brought on ASE master technicians to work side by side with our master transmission technicians. The combination of the best in both of these trades has created a synergy that allows us not only to fix your transmission, but to service and repair your whole car, and to do it well. Let's face it, the modern car has become so integrated. We believe all of our expert knowledge puts us ahead of the curve. Find us at TriCityTransmission.com or TempeAutoRepairShop.com. That's TempeAutoRepairShop.com.
Hi, Lisa Henry with Rushline Sotheby's International Realty. Have you been thinking maybe the time is right to move, but you're not sure if you have enough equity in your home or if it really is a good time? Well, home values have increased significantly over the past few years, and interest rates are still historically low. For how long? No one knows. But for every 1% increase in the interest rate, the result is about a 10% loss in purchasing power. So it might be a really great time to sell your home and either upsize or downsize to a new home while the interest rates are still low. Contact me via my website at lisareneehenry.com or direct at 480-330-9530 for a no-obligation market valuation on your home and to hear about our global online marketing plan designed to sell your home quickly for top dollar. Again, that's lisareneehenry.com, 480-330-9530. Come experience the difference a truly customer-focused real estate agent can make.
Few cities are as car-centric as Phoenix, and this is the show that'll help you to better understand that machine you depend on to get around the valley. It's Bumper to Bumper Radio. KTAR News on 92.3 FM and the KTAR app for Android and iPhone.
All righty, welcome back to Bumper Radio. It's the 4th of July weekend edition, I guess, huh, Dave?
Oh, yeah.
All righty. Well, I'm Matt Allen. This is Dave Riccio standing over here by my side. And we're here, as usual, on Saturday helping you with your car from 11 to noon. Today, Dave, we're talking about incomplete repairs. You know, what's the best way to fix my car? There's one way, call you up, it needs a radiator. Okay, put a radiator in it. Well, maybe back that up a little bit. What about the radiator hoses? We've got to take them off anyway to put the radiator in. You want to put the old hoses back on, or you want to put the new hoses on? I mean, You're paying the labor anyway. Now it's just a matter of buying a couple extra parts because we know those hoses are going to go bad eventually. So we want you to start asking questions when the auto shop gives you the estimate.
And one other thing too, I did some wheel bearings on a Lexus hybrid the other day, and when I called down, there was 4 different choices. And I looked at the website and I made one phone call. 4 different choices of bearings. Which one do you want? And the price range. The price range was anywhere, from $150 a piece to $400 a piece. There was a huge difference in price, but in this particular case, I knew what made the most sense, and I went with the OES, Original Equipment Supplier, because I felt like they were the best. I don't want them back in 6 months with the same problem.
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of grades of parts that you can buy for the car too. I wasn't going there, but you could certainly ask the shop too. What is this? What kind of part? Maybe that doesn't matter too much. I mean, there's some parts that buy the cheapest part they can possibly buy and mark it up huge and have a huge fat profit margin on that cheap garbage part. And then there's shops like us that buy a good part at a good price and mark it to a reasonable margin, but we're the same price as the guy selling the garbage down the road because he's got a different kind of model because they're the buy low and sell high and whatever the case may be. So, but ask the questions. What's the best way to fix the car? So, and if you have a question for us, 602-277-5827. It's 602-277-KTAR. I want to give a quick shout out to B-Tech George.
Oh, yeah, George. We haven't heard from you in a while. Thanks for the text.
George sent us a text. George is a Volkswagen technician who's always chiming in on the show, and he disappeared for about a year. I think he retired and maybe went off and played a little bit, but he's back listening, so welcome back, George.
If you retire from the car business, for a little while you got to at least take a break from the car business.
No kidding.
For sure. Well, we've got, looks like Christine, we've got Lori, we've got Randy, we've got Greg, and we're going to go with Randy. He's got a 2014 Buick LaCrosse. How can we help you, Randy? You're on Bumper to Bumper Radio. Hey, Randy. All
Randy's not there.
We'll come back to Randy. So let's go with Christine with a 2015 Ford Mustang.
There she is.
Oh, thank you. I need help.
What's going on?
So I just got this car about 2 months ago, and all of a sudden I didn't have brakes last week, and it was stiff, not going to the floor. I went on YouTube, did the test, and it feels like it was the brake booster or maybe the check valve. So I took it in and had it fixed for $600, and I replaced the brake booster. And today it's intermittently doing it again, the same feeling.
How many miles is on that?
Car up,
2015. It's only a couple years old.
Yeah.
How many miles are on it?
Barely 50.
Barely 50,000 miles. Oof.
And so now it's doing the same thing it was doing with before they put the brake booster on?
Yeah, and it's intermittent. And so the minute I get in the car, use the brake for the first time, I feel it happening again, the same feeling. And then it goes away until I turn it off and start it again.
I'm a little confused on the sensation, but you need to get it back to the shop who repaired it. I mean, they're going to be probably the most qualified. They need to look at it. If they made a repair and they didn't do it right or something happened, they definitely deserve a shot to go ahead and fix the car. I'm sure the car, the repair comes with a warranty. And to second that, if they made the wrong repair and they go in and they find out, oh, it's this, well, then maybe you need to be having a discussion about that first repair, whether it was really warranted or not. Sounds like there's a possibility something was missed, but maybe it's a different repair. Maybe it's a mistake. Maybe there's another thing, or maybe just the hose isn't plugged in all the way. I mean,
yeah,
they are human beings.
Yes, there's some situations like that for sure. But and that brings up a good point. If you do have to go back to a shop because something like that happens, I don't know if it's ever happened to your shop, Matt.
Be cool.
Don't go in with both barrels blazing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, people are human, and just go in there, and that's one way to ruin a relationship. And we want you to get a relationship with the shop. And the best way to do that, in my shop, I guarantee 100% satisfaction as long as we have open dialogue. That means we're having a conversation. Doesn't mean you're coming in and dominating. It doesn't mean I'm dominating. We're exchanging. We're looking for the best for everybody.
It's a conversation. Hey, you're not going to go on a date and start yelling at somebody, right? I mean, it's a relationship. We've got to keep this thing going. I mean, and there's one way to get put on hold for a long time. Call me up and start using foul language and tell me how horrible I am and this and that and the other and how incompetent and stupid we are because
leave that up to me. I will tell him that. You don't have to.
Right.
So Christine, you got to trust your brakes. So get it in there right away. That's scary not to have that confidence in your brake pedal. For sure. But get it back to the shop. I'm sure they'll be more than happy to get it all figured out. So let's go ahead and go with Greg on the 2001 Nissan Pathfinder. How can we help you, Greg? You're on Bumper to Bumper Radio.
How you guys doing?
Fantastic.
Great. Well, you're probably going to tell me to get a new car, but I've had this for too long. It's got 292,000 miles on it.
Got to hit 300, dude.
Yeah.
Right? I'm going for 350. I'm taking
right.
At 280, I put 70,000 Michelins on it. They thought I was crazy, So, but it's been a great car, and I've always taken care of it, like you said. You're going to replace something. Well, what else needs to be done while you're in there? So.
Good.
But I got a little issue when she wants to start. Sometimes she'll fire up just fine, and other times it'll sound almost like it's starving for fuel, or almost like it's trying to get up to the idle, and then it gets up there within just a couple seconds, and it runs fine. Replaced the fuel pressure regulator, did the filter on the outside of the tank. I'm kind of dreading going to the fuel pump in the tank there, but I'm thinking that might be my next step. But,
So what happens? You start the car, and after you've released the key, like you're in your head, you're thinking, okay, it's running now. I'm letting go of the key, and is that where it struggles a little bit? It kind of is, and then it gets the desired idle.
Yeah, it struggles right off the bat.
Okay.
And sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes just boom, fires right up like she's a brand new car,
Now, does that do that? Let's say you go out in the morning first time and start the car. First thing in the morning, you go hit the key. Does it start right up?
Sometimes. It's intermittent. That's what drives you crazy,
And then what about is it just as intermittent? Say you're out driving for a half hour, the car's nice and hot, and you go in the store, do your grocery shopping for 15 or 20 minutes, and come back out? Does it start then, or is that intermittent as well?
No, that's intermittent, but I'll tell you before, this is probably about a month ago, I went back to my old chip key, and I did have the, the other chip key from a big box store, and a buddy of mine, and at that time I was cranking it and getting nothing. And it's like you said, I'd go in to a store, come out, crank it, nothing. No, like I've got no fuel. She's just cranking. Then I'd wait for a little bit, and same key had fired up. And a buddy of mine told me, maybe you need to get rid of that, chip key from the other one and go back to your old one. So that I did that, and that got rid of the not starting at all intermittent. And now it's to where it's struggling coming on, but it's still intermittent. So I guess I didn't really answer.
I guess.
Sorry. Right. No, it makes sense though.
When I'm thinking, how intermittent is it? Is it 1 in 10? 1 in 10 gets a little harder to chase down, but if it's fairly consistent, which is nice, because then you can have a fuel pressure gauge on it and see if it is a fuel problem, or you can see what else is dropping on it. Do we have a injector that's bleeding down and filling up the cylinder, and it's kind of wet when it starts up, so it's hard for it to get going out of the gate.
I'd want a fuel pressure gauge on that before I condemned a fuel pump. I mean, I wasn't even thinking about the security issue, although I don't think that's what it is. I was kind of leaning towards what we call a hot soak. You get carbon buildup in the engine. You've got darn near 300,000 miles on it. Maybe you could try some professional strength fuel injector cleaner, a Seafoam or something like that. Possibly might help before you go do some diagnosis, but that's a tough one.
We've got Randy, we've got Lori, Hector, and we've got Joe. And when we come back, we're taking those calls. You listen to Bumper Radio.
It sounds like they've just had the accurate automotive experience. We're family-owned and operated and have served the Mesa, Tempe, Gilbert communities for over 22 years. We focus on building long-lasting relationships and, oh yeah, listening to you so that we can understand, meet, and exceed your expectations. One location, 14 bays, 88 years of automotive expertise, and a passionate commitment to customer service and excellence. My name is Lee Weatherby, and I approve this message because it's true. We love what we do, and we want to do it for you. Accurate Automotive, the home of friends serving friends.
Trust. It's hard to earn and sometimes even harder to find. If you live or work in downtown Phoenix, Matt Allen's Virginia Auto Service is celebrating over 20 years of award-winning service at the corner of 7th Street and Virginia. Recognized as one of the best service shops in the country, their customers have come to trust Virginia Auto Service for its A+ rating by the BBB, 2-year 24,000-mile warranties, and free transportation to and from your home or office. 20-plus years of earning your trust. Virginia Auto Service. They're serious about service.
Matt and I share car repair tips weekly to help you keep your car safely on the road, and a few of them are easy to do. Yep, you're right, Dave, and one of the easiest is to have a dependable battery that you can trust to get you started no matter what the conditions. Interstate batteries are what we trust at Bumper to Bumper Radio. In fact, they're what we use at our own shops for our customers. If you're like most people, your car is one of your most valuable investments. Make sure you take care of that investment with the power necessary to get you where you need to be. Interstate batteries are America's #1 replacement brand with the factory fresh guarantee, and they're easy to find at good shops everywhere. Cars or trucks, Interstate has you covered with long life and performance in our harsh desert climates with products like Megatron Plus. It carries a 30-month free replacement and a 6-year performance guarantee. Interstate batteries. No battery lasts longer. Check them out at interstatebatteries.com.
Well, Matt, you got anything exciting planned for the 4th of July?
Well, I do, actually. I guess I can give a shout-out to my second one of the show, my daughter, my firstborn, lovely little Claire Dawn Allen. It's the 4th of July baby.
Oh, yeah, wow.
Yeah, 11 years old, so she might be listening. I don't know. So happy birthday, Claire Bear.
Happy birthday.
If you're out there listening.
I called my wife on the way over here. I didn't mean to cut you off.
That's all right.
All right. I called her up.
I'll cut you off later. See?
I said, hey, are we having people over for the 4th of July, or is there somebody's house we can invite ourselves over to? She started laughing.
Invite yourself to my house. I would.
Note to self.
Well, it's funny. A couple of weeks ago, we had a party. I was mentioning Dave. I said, hey, you got to swing by. And I'm running around, getting ready. I'm like, I got to run over to Fry's and get some ice. And I'm pulling out of the garage, and my phone rings. It's like, Dave's like, hey, is your house he always gets confused when he comes over. And he's like, I'm pulling up. I'm like, oh, you are pulling up. I didn't even realize it.
Free food, easy entertainment, man. I go out to dinner with my wife. You're dropping, 50, 60, 70, 80 bucks. I come to your house. It was great, man.
I know. This was a hospital party. It was wonderful. Dave's like, well, I'm not going to know anybody. I said, great. I don't know anybody either. Come on over.
I was introducing to everybody, Dr. Rosen.
Yeah. We tried to do that a couple of times. I couldn't pull it off with a straight face. We're there with all these young doctors, and I'm like, so what do you guys do? Just a mechanic.
Just a mechanic. Anyhow, let's get with Lori in a 2014 Hyundai Sonata. Lori, you're on Bumper to Bumper Radio. How can we help you?
Good morning. My Sonata has about 41,000 miles on it. Yesterday, it wouldn't start. I was told the battery was bad. Put in a new battery. It wouldn't start. The tow truck driver came. He put it in neutral and got it to start. So I am going to go to the dealership. It's under warranty, but I don't want to go in knowing nothing and be taken advantage of. I'm told it could be starter, could be alternator, but I don't know what to look for and what to expect to hear from them.
Well, it's under warranty, so I wouldn't be too concerned, but I want to back up a little bit to that battery. Mm-hmm. Was that one of those roadside batteries where they come out to try and jumpstart you and they tell you a battery?
No, I got a jump start and went to AutoZone because it was a mile down the street.
Uh-huh.
And they tested it and they said it was bad.
Okay. So you very well probably did have a bad battery. I mean, the testing equipment that we have, same with, is probably very similar to AutoZone and the others. And it can tell you if you have a bad battery, but I think where the confusion was this battery bad and that's why the car wasn't starting, or was it just simply a battery that was time for replacement, but that really wasn't why the car didn't start?
Well, that was one of my questions, but after they put it in and it still wouldn't start, and I tried several times, and they tried their little that little jumper thing that they have, not putting jumper cables on it to another car, but that tool they have. Mm-hmm. But it was when the tow truck driver came, I was going to have it towed to the dealership, and he put it in neutral, and it started right up immediately.
Yeah, and this is reminiscent of the phone call we had earlier. Is it a neutral safety switch? And sometimes, I mean, that is a thing we do, is we, jiggle and wiggle on the shifter to move that around, because if the switch is off a little bit or getting a little bit on the fritz, sometimes we can make it work. So she may very well have had two problems.
Yes. Because
the car is 3 years old, and at you're 3 years old, you should go see your interstate guy, put an interstate battery in the thing. You can kind of know batteries. She's at the 3-year mark. It's very, so if you're out there, you're driving around and your car's 3 years old, think about a battery. But the battery may have been weak, but at the same time, there could be another problem with the neutral safety switch or something along those lines. So I think that's what's going on, but they're going to have no problem figuring that out at the dealership.
And I could see that battery getting tested. I mean, you just carry this battery in, or they test it in the car. You hook up the tester, it just says bad battery.
Yeah. Yep.
Without all the rest of the picture and the whole information, that person at the auto parts store went and said, oh, wait a minute, battery's bad, but I can look at the test at it and see it still has 480 amps. The battery failed its test, but it certainly should be capable of starting in the car. So I wouldn't be upset that you ended up with a battery. I guess is my point.
In the modern battery testers, they'll tell you a battery's bad when it will still start the car. I mean, so that's why I'm thinking two problems there.
Absolutely.
For sure. So thanks for the call, Lori. Let's go with Hector. He's got a 19. You used to have one of these, Matt. This is your call. 1972 240Z.
I used to restore these things a little bit and had a 280, a couple of 280s. Hector, what's going on with the Z?
And that's the reason I was calling, because I heard you say that on the radio one time, that you had a Z.
That must have been a long time ago.
Oh, you always talk about that Z and it leaking
coolant overheating. Yeah, I remember. Okay.
My question is, I put in a 1990 R200 differential in there, and the drive shaft is now too short. So I was wondering, since I'm going to put in a turbo old 280Z engine in there, I just wanted to see what's the best type of drive shaft and where should I because it's going to be torqueier. I just want to make sure I don't put in a drive shaft that'll go out. So I was just hoping you might be able to give me good advice.
Yeah, we've got someone that's a member of Bumper to Bumper Radio, Arizona Drive Shaft, and they're in Mesa.
Oh, yes.
Go down there and talk to Travis. He's been working there forever. He knows drive shafts like the back of his hand. Mm-hmm. I mean, he'll know exactly what to do. They do great work down there, and everything they do is, it's first class. I mean, they do it right, and so,
they'll get the measurement out. I mean, that's when you need the mechanic with the mathematics. I mean, they've got to know the angles and the geometry and how much that rear end's going to move around and make sure the U-joints are not getting overloaded. And, they build drive shafts for these race trucks, the off-road, the Score off-road trucks, the Red Bull Racing Series, all kinds of. So they definitely know what they're doing.
For sure. Thanks for the call, Hector. Let's go with Joe, 2010 Dodge Avenger. How can we help you, Joe? You're on Bumper to Bumper Radio.
Hi, can you hear me?
Absolutely.
Yeah, this car was sort of given to me, so I didn't invest any money in buying it. It used to be a driver training car. It has 200,000 miles on it.
Does it have a brake pedal on the passenger side?
No.
No, not one of those.
Not one of those.
My wife thinks that our car has a brake pedal because I see her pushing against the floorboard when I'm driving.
The power steering is going out stiff on one side only. My question is, when I take it in for repair, do I have to repair both sides, or is that just one side thing?
Well, that one thing is both sides.
It is.
Yeah, there's not a rack and pinion steering for the left side and the right side. It's all one unit.
Okay.
Connected to the steering wheel through linkage, and then goes out to the car. But it probably is a rack and pinion steering unit going bad, and so you'll want to replace that with a remanufactured unit. Is most likely what you're going to end up with. And so, depending on where you are, I see you're an 818 area code, but you may be able, you can find it one of our shops at bumpertobumperradio.com if you don't have.
Yeah, I'm in Scottsdale, so I saw you have 2 listed there, so I might check one out.
Yeah, perfect.
So that's about $1,200 job.
Off the top of my head, that sounds like a pretty darn good, pretty average price. You're in the right ballpark for sure.
Do you think that's worth the investment in a car that I got for free? I think so.
Well, heck yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Definitely.
That's my question, then.
I would look at doing that, and make sure when they're in there too, they flush out the power steering fluid. You're going to want to make sure all the old fluid's out, and they'll put a good fluid in there, and
the other thing too, ask them if it's a good investment, because we're not seeing the car. Maybe there's something else traumatic going on that if there's a massive head wound, we're over here fixing a scratch on our elbow.
Yeah, right.
So I mean,
yeah. I say that not really, not seeing the whole picture. And the other thing too, the General Motors cars way back in the day, we used to call that morning sickness. The steering racks were noisy and they didn't work well till the car got warmed up. If money's an issue, go somewhere and spend a couple $100 getting a good power steering service. They put in a cleaner, an additive, and a power steering fluid that's got all these special, super secret, top secret ingredients in it.
Polonium carbide.
And that might actually cure the problem. You could, and if it doesn't, it was a couple $100. What's the big deal?
We got to sneak in Randy here, Matt. You're falling asleep over the switch there.
I'm not falling asleep. I'm wide awake.
How can we help you, Randy?
Hey, sorry guys, my battery went dead on my phone. I was called earlier, but I tell you what I have is a Buick LaCrosse that was my parents. It's my parents' car. They bought it brand new, and unfortunately they were hit by a drunk driver, and they were okay. And car got repaired. Looked beautiful outside. I drove the car when it was brand new. I get in this car and I make a left turn, and it makes like a clunking noise. I go to the right, it makes like a clunking noise, and I'm a little bit mechanically inclined. It sounds like the rack and pinion. And so I tell my dad, something doesn't sound right with this car. It needs to go back. Well, my dad says, well, not only that, there's a light that goes on in the dash. And I said, well, did you take it back? And the dealer's telling him, and this, by the way, is the body shop that they deal with when it comes to collision. And they said there's what they call a vibrating sensor, and it shows up on the dash. And I said, well, Dad, what does that tell you? And they said, well, that tells you that you went over a deep hole. And I go, well, you would feel that, Dad. You don't need a light to tell you that. So if I can't get this repaired, is there such thing as a customer service rep with Buick?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that it's Buick. You need to get with your insurance company. For sure, especially if they directed you towards that repair. And I'm sorry, we're going to run out of time, Randy. If you want to follow up with I don't know. Randy, if you want to follow with us by email, bumpertobumperradio.com, we can spend a little bit more time with you. We had a little confusion on some times here, so I don't know what we're doing, to be honest with you.
No, we can actually finish up off air, so we'll be back next week. You listen to Bumper Radio. You bet.